Pioneer fans, Pioneer men's junior varsity basketball is live and on the air. We're here live on the campus of Pioneer High School, where it is Pioneer Junior Varsity Men's Basketball taking on the Monroe Trojans. We have the JV contest coming up in just under 3 minutes. The varsity contest is happening right around 7 o'clock, depending on when this first matchup ends. The freshman teams battled right before this. Pioneer was able to win that one 51-44. So we'll play a few messages from the MHSAA, and then we will get going with your opening tip-off. You're watching Pioneer Men's Junior Varsity Basketball, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
If you're a recent high school or college graduate and still have a passion for the games you played in school, still remember the thrill of putting on the uniform? Why don't you help us out and become a registered high school game official? Get out there and give something back to our kids. Visit the MHSA website for more information. There's help wanted, just whistle. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As we are about to get going, counting down underneath a minute, both of these squads are gathered around their coaching staff. Pioneers in their home whites with the purple numbers on the back and front. Pioneer and block lettering across the front, and they have the purple stripes down at the bottom of the shorts. Monroe is wearing their red jerseys with the numbers in white on the back, their red shorts. I believe, haven't seen the front of them yet because they all have warm-ups on there, but thinking that they say Monroe on the front, but we'll see in a moment. They have a bunch of starter jackets that say "We Are Monroe," kind of like the "We Are Penn State" out there. So we are about to get going. Both of these squads gathered up. I don't have wins and losses for either of these two teams because that doesn't get entered into the MHSAA site much. But if you take a look at the two varsity teams, Pioneer is 10-3 on the varsity team, and Monroe is 2-9. Of course, that doesn't mean the JV contest is going to go that way, or even the varsity contest, but that is so far their wins and losses. As Kestenich ready to tip off. On the other side, it's going to be number Pedigo, I believe. That ball over. Monroe has it. Bringing it up is Davis. Davis on the near wing. Davis dribbles, trying to get past 2 players. There's a whistle. That is going to be a foul on Kestenich. As inbounding on the far side, Monroe. Over to Davis. Davis comes top of the key. Davis over onto the far wing. That over to Aaron. Aaron trying to flip it on the far corner. That's grabbed by Dunlap. trying to put it up underneath, and a score out there by Aaron. And that makes it 2-0. Monroe with the lead. Here comes Pioneer the other direction as Dunlop has it. Working his way down. Connor Dunlop for Pioneer. Gets it over to Scott. Back into the far corner for Kucinich. There is going to be stepping on the end bound. That is going to go out to Monroe. 2-0. Monroe with the lead. 7:18 left to go here in the first. Monroe inbounds. Gets that ahead to KJ Dunlap. Dunlap moves it over. Getting it is White. White feeds it down into the near corner for Aaron. Aaron back. Now working his way down is White into the far corner. There's a three-pointer. That one did not touch rim as Connor Dunlop able to get the rebound, but Dunlop picks up his first foul, and that is 2 on Pioneer, none on Monroe. Inbounding is White on the baseline right. That's grabbed with it is KJ Dunlop. Moving it back to Davis. Davis has it top of the key. Davis coming down the near side of the paint. Davis trying to put it up. Travel called. It's 6:53. That will be Pioneer's ball. They'll inbound it baseline right as Scott will bring it in. Scott gets it into Pollock. Pollock on the near side of the court. Now he makes his way to the middle of the court. Dishes it off to Scott down the far sideline. That over to Smith. Smith back over to Pollock on the near wing. Pollock top of the key. Pollock over to Scott. Scott just off the top of the key. Now over to Connor Dunlop. Connor Dunlop on the far wing. Gets it over to Kucinich. Top of the key. Kucinich over. Now Scott comes top of the key. Scott comes to the far elbow. Bounce pass over to Pollock. Pollock puts it up and in. So Pollock with his first points, and that's going to make it 2-2 with 6:18 left to go here in the first. Monroe ball is as Aaron brings it ahead, and right off of our table here. It's the reason why I'm on the microphone and a lack of athletic ability here. As that's inbounded by White. Back over to White as Moss gets it over to White. White at the near wing fires a three, that off the back of the rim. And it's pulled down by Davis. Now on the far side of the paint, put up and put up again as that was Dunlap. So KJ Dunlap gets 2 points. It's 4-2. Monroe with the lead. Pioneer in the front court. Connor Dunlop gets it over to Pollock. Pollock about 5 feet off the top of the key. Bounce pass. Gets that over to Smith. Smith on the far wing for Pioneer. Gets it to Kucinich. Top of the key. Kucinich. Back over to Scott on the far wing. Scott for three. And he hits it. So Scott puts in the three-pointer. And it is 5-4. Pioneer with the lead. That ball tipped out of bounds. Scott the inbound right in front of us. Scott gets it into Pollock. Pollock trying to work his way right on the block piece. Now over to Kucinich on the far wing. Kucinich, there's a three-pointer off the back of the rim, trying to track it down. That out of bounds. So that's going to be Pioneer's ball with 5:09 left to go. 5-4, Pioneer with the lead. That ball into Smith. Now over to Scott on the near wing. Pollock moves it over into the far corner for Connor Dunlop. That ball off the back of the rim, trying to pull it down. Monroe has it. That ball coming down the far wing with it now is White. White coming top of the key. White to the far elbow as that's put up. Wouldn't go. Rebound by Pioneer. Now Connor Dunlop the other direction down the far side of the court. Connor Dunlop over onto the near wing. Picks up the dribble. Gets it back over to Smith. Smith over to Pollock at the block P. Now over to Scott on the far wing. Scott. Bounce pass over to Connor Dunlop. Now on the near wing. Pollock has it. Pollock back to Connor Dunlop. Scott into the paint. Rattles it home. Scott with 5 points. And it is 7-4. Pioneer with the lead. Timeout called. We'll take it with him with 4:24 left to go. Let's play a little bit of Push On. Pioneer has announced that the annual Pioneer Booster Bash is going to be April 18th at Germain Honda. Put that on your calendars. Food, fun. I think there's an auction. It's always for the Booster Club to help support Pioneer Athletics. Monroe has it in the front court. Working his way is Davis. Davis puts it up and puts it in. So Davis with his first points, and it's 7-6. Pioneer with a 1-point lead and the ball. Connor Dunlop gets it over onto the near wing for Scott. Scott, top of the key, over to Pollock. Pollock over on the far wing for Connor Dunlop. Connor Dunlop moves it over to Kasenich. Now over on the near wing to Pollock. Into the near corner for Scott. Scott, back top of the key for Smith. Smith over onto the far wing for Connor Dunlop. He puts up a three-pointer off the back of the rim and rattles, falls to the far side of the glass. That is going to be Monroe ball with 3:42 left to go. Kasenich goes out to get a breather. Blank comes in for Pioneer. Monroe inbounds, backcourt pressure, full court pressure by Pioneer. That ball tipped, trying to grab it, bringing it is White. White into the paint. White puts it up off glass, wouldn't go. Rebounded by Scott. Here comes Connor Dunlop the other direction, over to Blank. Blank trying to get it underneath. That blocked away. Good defense. I think that was KJ Dunlap who got his hand in the way. Now White over midcourt for Monroe. Over onto the near wing. Aaron has it. Aaron gets it back over just off the top of the key to White. Over on the far wing to Davis. Davis comes down to the baseline, puts it up and puts it in. Davis now has 4 points, and Monroe takes the 1-point lead, 8-7. Connor Dunlop comes top of the key for Pioneer. Steps back, gets a little room to work as he comes back just inside of midcourt. Connor Dunlop, bounce pass over to Smith. Smith just to the near side of the top of the key. Now there's a shot by Scott off the glass and in. Scott leads all scorers with 7 points, and it's 9-8. Pioneer with a 1-point lead. 2:37 left to go here in the first. Monroe in the front court. As that is KJ Dunlop trying to get to that, pulled away by Pollock. Here comes Pioneer. Pollock, when spinning, that is going to be a foul on White. That is White's first foul. First foul on Monroe, 2 on Pioneer, 1 on Monroe. Seifeld Chop will inbound on the near sideline, just to our right. 2:28 left to go. That into Connor Dunlop. Connor Dunlop over midcourt. Connor Dunlop, bounce pass over to Seinfeld Chop. He's right on the P for Pioneer. Over on the near wing, Blank gets it into the near corner. Connor Dunlop, bounce pass to Blank. Blank up off the glass and in. Blank with his first points, and it's 11-6. Pioneer with the 3-point lead. 2:09 left to go here in the first. That ball quickly ahead to Moss into the front court for Monroe, knocked away. Seinfeld Chop got his hands in the way, is trying to find KJ Dunlap over on the coming down the far side of the paint. Out of bounds. It's going to be Monroe's ball. White gets it in baseline right. That over to Dunlap. KJ Dunlap moves it all the way back over to Davis. Davis top of the key. Davis dribbles to his left, coming down, puts it into the far corner. That shot off the back of the rim, wouldn't go. Rebound pulled down by Moss. Monroe. Another opportunity. Good offensive rebound by them. Handoff over to White. White 4 feet off the top of the key. White being watched by Seinfeld Chop. Comes over on the far wing. Intercepted. Great job by Blank. Feeds ahead to Seinfeld Chop. Up off glass and the finger rolling in. Seinfeld Chop has his first points of the game. He has 2. Stolen by Blank. Blank trying to put it in. Blank hands it over. Seinfeld Chop thought about the 3. Now over. There's Connor Dunlop for 3. That off the rim and off the glass. Pulled down. Monroe. Battle for it. Blank gets it. Now that moved Woods over to Seinfeld Chop for 3. And off the rim, off the glass. Wouldn't go. Pulled down by Griffin. And underneath there is a whistle. 13-8. Pioneer with the lead. So Blank picks up his foul. First foul, that is 3 on Pioneer, 1 on Monroe. 1:02 left to go here in the first.
Also in for Pioneer, 22, and Scott.
Scott back in for Pioneer. Monroe trying to get the ball in, stolen away by Scott. Scott bounce pass, trying to move it over to Connor Dunlop. That tipped out of bounds. That will be Monroe's ball. Stone, the inbound. Now they will have KJ Dunlap inbound, baseline left. KJ Dunlap trying to get it in, tipped, and Seinfeld Shop trying to knock it away. That looks like it went off Monroe. That's going to be Pioneer's ball. Seinfeld Shop to inbound just on the far side in the far corner. That ball inbounded. Connor Dunlap. Dunlap has it. Dunlap. Bounce pass over to Scott. And working his way around. Seinfeld Shop gets it to Blank. Top of the key. Blank for three. Blank hits it. Nothing but net on that one. Blank has 5. And it's 16-8. Pioneer with the lead. Full court pressure. That's going to be a jump ball as both Scott and Connor Dunlap putting pressure on Davis. So ball inbounded. Scott gets it over to Wood. Wood moves it to Connor Dunlap into the near corner for Scott. Scott. That is going to be a collision with Davis.
Foul is on number 20, Lyndon Davis.
So Davis picks up his first foul. 3 on Pioneer, 2 on Monroe. Pioneer to inbound, baseline left. Scott looking for a place to go. Gets it underneath. Now out. Trying to come down with it is Woods. Woods puts it up. That ball knocked down, and here comes Monroe. Monroe has it in the backcourt. Bringing ahead is Davis. Davis stops. Full court pressure by Scott. Davis works his way over midcourt. Picked up by Connor Dunlop. Into the far corner. Now that move back by Overstreet. And coming down, Griffin. That is going to be a charge on Griffin. Griffin picks up his first foul. 3 on Pioneer, 3 on Monroe with 8.7 seconds left to go.
Number 44, Lyndon Griffin.
As Griffin kind of got a little tripped up there, got his shoulder into the defender. Charge called. Pioneer brings ahead. Connor Dunlop over midcourt. Connor Dunlop gets a screen from Blank, gets it back to Blank. Blank down the near side of the paint, puts it up off glass and in. Blank with 7 points, and at the end of the first, it is 18-8. Pioneer with the lead. Scores so far: 2 for Pollock for Pioneer, 2 for Seinfeld Shop, 7 for Blank, and 7 for Scott. On the other side, it's 2 for Aaron, 2 for Davis, and 2 for KJ Dunlap. Let's play a quick message from the MHSAA.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As the buzzer sounded, both squads getting last moment instructions from their coaching staff. Monroe ball, 8 minutes up on the clock here for the second period, 18-8. Pioneer with the lead. Out there for Monroe is Griffin. I believe that's White out there, Stone, Davis, and Dunlap. With it is Davis. Davis trying to spin away from Connor Dunlop. That ball gets over as KJ Dunlap has it into the far corner for Overstreet. Overstreet trying to work his way free. Back over to Davis. Davis on the far wing. Back over to Overstreet. Overstreet on the near side of the paint to Stone. Stone puts it up. That blocked. Ball out of bounds. That is going to be Pioneer's ball. 7:37 left to go here in the second. 18-8 is our score. Pioneer to inbound, baseline right. Scott gets it into Connor Dunlop. Connor Dunlop bringing it down the near side of the court. He goes over midcourt. Connor Dunlop in there working against Overstreet. Gets it to Smith, top of the key. Smith over to Kasenich. Kasenich on the far wing. Kasenich looks to his left now. Gets it over to Pollock. Pollock on the near elbow. Back over to Scott on the far wing. Scott Looks to his right, dribbles to his right, puts it up, off glass, wouldn't go. Rebound down by Davis. Here comes Monroe with 7:07 left to go. Down by 10. Davis comes into the front court. Davis. That ball over to Overstreet. Now top of the key back to Davis. Davis at the far elbow, puts it up off the back of the rim, wouldn't go. Rebound underneath by Stone, but gets tied up by Scott. Possession arrow points Pioneer's way. So Pioneer will inbound baseline right. So Baker in for Monroe with 6:53 left to go here in the second. Pioneer continues to lead by 10 as Scott brings it up the far side of the court. Scott over midcourt. Watching him is Davis. Bounce pass over on the near wing into the near corner for Connor Dunlop. Connor Dunlop down the baseline. Puts it up off glass would be Scott. Scott gets his own rebound. That tipped off the near side of the rim. Monroe holds it in. Overstreet down the near wing. Over to Davis. Davis working his way over midcourt. Back to Overstreet on the near wing. Overstreet near side of the paint. Over to Griffin. Griffin puts it up. Little too strong. And pulled down by KJ Dunlop. KJ Dunlop over to Overstreet. Overstreet on the far sideline for Monroe. Comes to the far side of the paint. That picked up by Scott. Stolen away. Here comes Pollock for Pioneer. Up off glass and in. Pollock now has 4 points. And it's 20-8 Pioneer with the lead. Monroe inbounds baseline left. Gets it to Overstreet. Overstreet brings it up the far side of the court. He goes over midcourt. Ball over to Davis on the near wing. Into the near corner for KJ Dunlap. Griffin tried to get it, pulled away by Pioneer. Scott quickly ahead. Head over to Kasenich underneath. He puts it in, off glass and in. Kasenich has it. He has his first points. He has 2, and it's 22-8. Pioneer with the lead. Monroe in the front court. Over to Davis on the near wing. That tipped all the way over to Overstreet on the far wing. Back to the near wing. Davis for 3, and he hits it. Davis tied for the game high with 7 points, and it's 22-11. Quickly the other way. Kasenich puts it in. He now has 4 points, and it's 24-11 with 5:10 left to go. Davis the other direction for Monroe. That ball tipped away. Scott quickly ahead. Connor Dunlop underneath the basket. Puts it up. Finger roll. Rattles in. Dunlop has his first points of the game, and it's 26-11. 15-point lead for Pioneer. Monroe wants to talk about it. Let's play a couple messages from the MHSAA.
Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
4:56 here before halftime. 26-11, 15-point lead for Pioneer. Monroe inbounds, bringing it ahead is Moss. Moss gets it back over to White. White over midcourt. Top of the key is KJ Dunlap, as that is going to be a foul.
Foul is on Pioneer, 0.
So Pollock picks up the foul. It's the first on Pioneer this quarter, as Moss has it right at midcourt. Battle for it, as that's going to be a jump ball. Aaron in there. I think Scott was in there. So Monroe has the possession arrow. White to inbound on the near sideline, just to our right. Moss in the backcourt. As that inbounded, gets it back over to White now, into that far corner. KJ Dunlap trying to get it over to Aaron. Aaron on the far sideline. Bounce pass. Back over to Moss. Moss trying to come down the far side of the paint. That quickly ahead. Here comes Connor Dunlap. Connor Dunlap. Finger roll up and in. He has 4 points, and it's 28-11. Pioneer with the lead with 4:15 left to go before halftime. White brings it in for Monroe. Over midcourt. Moves it over to KJ Dunlap into the far corner, coming down the baseline. That ball knocked away from Moss. Here comes Pioneer the other direction, trying to get to Scott. That's stolen away by White. Good defense there as White goes over midcourt for Monroe. White down the far sideline. Whistle as contact made. Looks like Pollock again picks it up, so that is his second foul. 2 on Pioneer, none on Monroe this period, as Pioneer brings in a number of players as Hayes comes in, Wood comes in, Rivera comes in. Seinfeld Chop is out there, as well as Blank. So a whole new 5 players out there for Pioneer. Aaron inbounds from the far sideline. White in the backcourt. Comes over midcourt. White dribbles to his right, then his left. Working against Seinfeld Chop. Bounce pass. As with it, it's KJ Dunlap. KJ Dunlap at the far elbow. Moves it back over to Aaron. Aaron on the far sideline. KJ Dunlap in the far corner for Monroe. Tipped by Hayes. Loose ball. As that's going to be a kick ball. Pioneers ball as they have it baseline right. With 3:35 left to go before halftime. Rivera gets it in, and bringing it ahead is Seinfeld Chop. Seinfeld Chop over midcourt. Seinfeld Chop moves it over to Hayes on the far wing. Blank in the far corner. Blank works over to Hayes on the baseline. Up off the rim. Wouldn't go. Rebound. Good job by KJ Dunlap. And now White brings it ahead with 3:13 left to go. White over midcourt for Monroe. White takes it at the top of the key. White now over on the far sideline for Aaron, into the far corner for KJ Dunlap. KJ Dunlap back over to White in the far corner, trying to come down the baseline, tipped away by Hayes. Off of Monroe, that will be Pioneers ball with 2:58 left to go here before halftime. Seinfeld chopped inbound, baseline right. Griffin in for Monroe with 2:58 left to go before halftime. Seinfeld Chop brings the ball ahead for Pioneer in the backcourt. He comes over midcourt, quickly picked up there by Stone. Seinfeld Chop on the far wing, dishes it off to Wood on the near wing. Wood to the free throw line. Now Hayes at the far wing. Hayes into the far corner for Blank. Blank working his way around the arc, picks up the dribble back to Seinfeld Chop right in front of the scorer's bench. Seinfeld Chop on the block, Hayes for Pioneer. Seinfeld Chop over to Hayes in the paint, and he hits the floater. Hayes has 2 points, and it's 30-11, 19-point lead for Pioneer. Monroe quickly ahead over to Griffin down the far side of the paint, up and in. Griffin has his first points of the game. It's 30-13. Quickly Pioneer the other direction. Blank makes his way into the paint, dishes it off to Hayes from the far wing, 3-pointer off the front of the rim. Pulled down by Stone. I think Pioneer will get hit with a foul there. I think that's Rivera who picks up the foul. So Rivera picks up the foul. That is 3 on Pioneer, none on Monroe this quarter. If Pioneer commits 2 more fouls, Monroe will go to the line shooting free throws. Timeout called. That will be the second timeout Monroe's taken. Pioneer still has 5, and we'll step away with a few more messages from the MHSAA.
If you're a recent high school or college graduate and still have a passion for the games you played in school, still remember the thrill of putting on the uniform, why don't you help us out and become a registered high school game official? Get out there and give something back to our kids. Visit the MHSA website for more information. There's help wanted, just whistle. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
2:04 left to go before halftime. Monroe has the ball. Aaron to inbound baseline left. Aaron gets it into Stone. Stone double team. Stone moves it over to Baker. Baker all the way on the far wing to White. White makes his way over midcourt. White onto the near wing. White Moves it over to Aaron on the far wing. Now back on the far sideline is Stone. Stone double team. Stone bounce pass, gets it to Aaron. That knocked away. Here comes Blank the other direction for Pioneer. Trying to get it to Wood, but that's going to be a travel on Rivera. That will go Monroe's way as they will inbound baseline left. Baker inbounds baseline left with 1:41 left to go before halftime. White has it in his own backcourt. White skies it over now onto the near wing is Stone. Stone on the near sideline trying to get to Griffin. Griffin under the basket. That one just a little high. Seinfeld chop quickly ahead to Wood. Wood over to Hayes. That one wouldn't go. Rivera gets it back. Bounces it off the front, the back of the rim and in. So Rivera with his first points of the game, and it's 32-13. Pioneer with the lead. Monroe, White bounces passes underneath the Griffin for Monroe. That up and in. I believe the basket counts for Griffin and one. So that looks like it's going to be Blank who picks up the foul.
Basket is good. Foul is on number 15, Elijah Blank.
So Griffin has 4 points, trying to make it an even 5. Griffin dribbles the ball, bends the knees, eyes the rim, puts it up off the back of the rim, and it goes down. Griffin with 5 points for Monroe. 32-16, Pioneer with the lead. Hayes to inbound, baseline right. Blank goes out. And Davis in for Pioneer. That would be Cortez Davis. Seinfeld chop gets over midcourt. Ball over to Wood on the far wing. Wood gets it over to Rivera, top of the key. Rivera over to Seinfeld chop. Griffin steals the pass away. Now working back is White. White moves ahead to Griffin. Griffin over midcourt. And tipped back. Wood tracks it down. Loose ball. Here comes Seinfeld chop for Pioneer the other direction. 39 seconds left to go before halftime. Wood has the ball on the near wing. Griffin picks him up. Wood to the free throw line. Over to Hayes. Hayes to the far elbow. Bounce pass underneath the Wood. Wood double team. Moves it back over. Cortez Davis off the back of the rim. Pulled down by Rivera. Rivera trying to move it. That tipped. Cortez Davis gets it back to Rivera. Seinfeld chop on the near sideline. 15 seconds left to go before halftime. Seinfeld chop over to Hayes on the far sideline. Hayes puts up the three off the rim, off the glass. Wouldn't go. Rebound underneath there. It's a foul with 5 seconds left to go. So that is going to be a foul on Cortez Davis. So that is the 5th foul on Pioneer. That means Monroe is going to be shooting baskets. If you hit 5 fouls in a quarter, that's like the old double bonus where you shoot 2 from the line. Resets every quarter. So Aaron to the line shooting 2. He can get up to 18 points for Monroe. Aaron dribbles the ball. Spins it, bends the knees, puts it up. Off the back of the rim, wouldn't go, falls off to the far side. One more shot coming for Aaron. Aaron again dribbles the ball, eyeing the rim. Now spins the ball, bends the knees, puts it up. Off the front, the back of the rim, wouldn't go. Griffin with the rebound, he puts it up and in. Griffin now has 7 points, and that will do it. At the end of 2, it is halftime, 32 Pioneer and 18 Monroe. So let's take a break. We'll play a few messages from the MH as well. Actually, first, let me tell you who has how much. On the Pioneer side, Pollock has 4. Connor Dunlop has 4. Seinfeld Chop has 2. 7 points for Blank, 2 points for Rivera, 7 points for Scott, 2 for Kasenich, and 2 for Hayes. On the Monroe side, it's 2 for Aaron, 7 for Landon Davis, 2 for KJ Dunlop, and 7 for Griffin. 32-18 is our score. As we will take a break, you are watching Pioneer Men's Junior Varsity Basketball, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
If you're a recent high school or college graduate and still have a passion for the games you played in school, still remember the thrill of putting on the uniform, why don't you help us out and become a registered high school game official? Get out there and give something back to our kids. Visit the MHSA website for more information. There's help wanted, just whistle. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Integrity, commitment, love of the game. These traits describe the people high school sporting events can't start without. The officials. They're out there every day giving back to our kids. Let's give them the respect they deserve. Better yet, why don't you become one? Visit the MHSAA website for more information. There's help wanted, just whistle. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
You're hearing it. The message is getting through to parents. Multi-sport athletes get injured less. Multi-sport athletes become better in their primary sport in the long run. And even though it's not why we play our games, multi-sport athletes are now getting recruited more than specialized athletes. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
You have to wonder sometimes how folks in the stands, so far removed from the action and who have probably never had any training, actually think they can see the play and apply the rules better than the officials assigned to a game. If you're that good, please register immediately at MHSAA.com. We need more officials on the playing surface and fewer in the stands. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Think of a high school game as a 4-lane highway. Coaches, players, officials, and spectators, each with their own lane. Sportsmanship depends on everyone not crossing over the line. Fans keep it between the lines when they cheer positively for their team. So don't cause an accident. Stay in your lane and let the coaches, players, and officials do their jobs. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Power Ratings will be used this year in soccer, basketball, and boys lacrosse to seed the district tournament in those sports, and you can follow along. Visit your school's page on the MHSAA website to see how your team is faring, and you can look at statewide lists as well. And if you see your team is missing a score, submit it. Learn more about the Michigan Power Rankings at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Have we gotten to the point where at some high school game that an official has finally had enough from coaches, players, and adults, pulls off the whistle, and offers it to you? Let's hope not. There's no way you could do a better job. It's on everyone to promote good sportsmanship. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Maybe you've seen the videos of the specialized sports parent support group, or the kid holding a press conference to announce his retirement from sports. The problem is, they'd be really funny if there wasn't a lot of truth there. Multi-sport participation provides a healthier experience and lifestyle for kids and families. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Sportsmanship is still relevant in school sports. Good sportsmanship should be a given at our games. It's one of the primary reasons we have school sports to begin with, to help today's young people become tomorrow's community leaders. You can learn more about sportsmanship and download a full kit of sportsmanship ideas from the MHSAA website at mhsaa.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Why do high school sports really exist? For 99% of the participants, it's the biggest stage they will ever play on, and it provides the most educational value, teaching sportsmanship, ethics, integrity, hard work, and teamwork. It's about playing with local friends against local rivals and creating lifetime relationships. They build community spirit, and they're worthy of your continued support. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here at half, it is 32-18. Pioneer Junior Varsity men's basketball in the lead over Monroe. The varsity programs will be battling after this, somewhere around 7 o'clock or so. See a very cool Harrison hoodie there. That is awesome. That is very well done. I love that. Oh, well done. So looks like Harrison's mother has a very cool hoodie there. Connor Dunlop ready to inbound right in front of us as more and more fans are coming in. Pioneer looking to extend their 14-point lead. Connor Dunlop gets it into Scott. Scott over midcourt. Scott over on the far wing to Pollock. Pollock gets it over. Smith on the far elbow. Back to Pollock. Pollock at the free throw line. Now a three-pointer by Scott in. Scott now leads all scorers by 10 points, and it's 35-18. Pioneer with the lead. Monroe inbounds baseline right, getting it over to Aaron. Aaron coming down the near side of the court. That tipped away, but a whistle. Looks like that's going to be a foul, and that is going to be on Scott. So Monroe will inbound on the near sideline. White to inbound. 7:34 left to go here in the third. White moves it all the way across into the backcourt. Gets it back from KJ Dunlap. Now bringing it ahead is Wells. Wells over midcourt, over to White on the near wing. White now works his way around the arc, dribble pass over to Griffin. Griffin on the far side of the paint. Back to White on the near sideline. White right at the baseline. Picks up the dribble. Gets that back over to Wells. Wells into the near corner for White. White bounce pass to Griffin on the near side of the paint. Griffin trying to put it up. That ball out of bounds. Kucinich got the block. Believe that's going to stay Monroe ball. 7:07 left, or 7:02 left to go here in the third. Monroe to inbound, as Wells inbounds baseline left. That ball back over to White on the far wing. White, far sideline, trying to work himself free. Now over onto the near wing to Aaron. Aaron for three. That one falls just short. Smith with the rebound for Pioneer. Pollock heading the other direction over midcourt. Pollock puts it down the baseline into the near corner for Scott. Now Smith down into the paint. Stops, puts it up. Off the back of the rim, wouldn't go. Rebound by White for Monroe. 6:35 left to go here in the third. Quickly ahead, Monroe gets it over to Wells. Wells on the near sideline. That went off of a foot. Out of bounds. That should stay Monroe's ball. As Wells goes to grab the ball, it managed to roll all the way back down the baseline to the right. So 6:27 left to go here in the third. White to inbound on the near sideline, right to our right. Connor Dunlop watching him. That ball into Wells. Wells for Monroe. Makes it over midcourt. Pollock watching him. Wells stops just off the top of the key. Puts it over. And he tried to throw it onto that far wing, and a little miscommunication. The player moved. It's a valiant attempt by Aaron to get it, but that's Pioneer's ball. 6:19 left to go in the third. Scott over midcourt for Pioneer. Scott over to Pollock on the far wing. Pollock now top of the key over to Connor Dunlop. Scott has it on the near wing. Scott back top of the key for Kucinich. Now into the far corner, working his way. Bounce pass. Pollock gets it back over to Scott. Scott calling out signals. Now over onto the near wing for Smith. Smith looking to his left. Now kicks it top the key. Scott into the paint with the floater up and in. Nothing but net on that one. Scott leads all scorers with 12, and it's 37-18. Pioneer 19-point lead. Monroe in the backcourt. Wells gets over midcourt, working against Pollock. I think he got him hooked. That is going to be the third foul on Pollock. First foul, or second foul in this quarter. So White will inbound just to our left on the near sideline. White gets it into Griffin on the far wing. Back to White in the far corner, or on the near corner. White puts it up just a little too strong. Scott gets the rebound for Pioneer. Quickly ahead, Kucinich up and in. He has 6 points. It's 39-18. 21-point lead for Pioneer. Monroe, Aaron inbounds. That tipped away by Smith. And it's going to continue to be Monroe ball as they will inbound again. Aaron will inbound baseline right. 5:16 left to go here in the third in the JV contest. That ball tipped away by Connor Dunlop. So now inbounding will be Wells on the near sideline right in front of the Pioneer parents. Wells gets it into White. White in the backcourt for Monroe, working against Connor Dunlop. Connor Dunlop ends up down on the ground, and that's going to be a foul on Aaron. So Aaron picks up his first foul on Monroe this quarter. Connor Dunlop inbounds just by the scorer's bench into Scott. Scott now over on the near wing to Pollock. Pollock Dribbles to his left to the top of the key. Pollock dishes it off. Connor Dunlop off the glass, off the side of the rim. Wouldn't go. Loose ball picked up by Scott. Into the paint. Puts up the floater. Rims all the way around. And now Griffin with the rebound. Here comes Wells for Monroe in the backcourt. Pressure by Scott. Wells trying to shake himself free. Gets over midcourt. He goes down. And that will be a foul on Scott.
Foul is on Pioneer 22, Neil Scott.
So 39-18, Pioneer with the lead. 3 fouls on Pioneer, 1 on Monroe.
Ball to Monroe.
Wells will inbound just to the left of the scorer's bench on the far sideline. Wells, bounce pass into Griffin. Griffin hands it off to Aaron. Aaron on that far sideline, over to Wells. Now White has it on the near wing. White into Griffin, into the paint. Now over onto the far wing. Aaron for 3, off the rim. Wouldn't go as Wells hard down to the court. As a collision underneath, he pops up, he's all right.
4, 15, and 35.
So Seinfeld chop blank.
That's Chop, Blank,
And 35 is Wood. So that ball, Pioneer trying to get away. Scott trying to knock it off of one of the Monroe defenders.
ball.
Now it's going to be Monroe's ball. 4:23 left to go here in the third. Wells gets it into Aaron on the near wing. Aaron into the near corner. Bounce pass to Griffin on the near side of the paint. Griffin up into the paint. Puts it off glass. Off rim. Wouldn't go. Pioneer the other direction. Connor Dunlop over to Wood. Wood gets it to Blank, who puts it up and in. Finger roll from Blank. And he has 9 points, and it's 41-18. 4:03 left to go in the backcourt. Monroe with it. As White has it, gets it over to Aaron. Aaron over midcourt, triple team, back over to White, and that is going to be a carry. Pioneers ball with 3:52 left to go. So instead of just dribbling, that's taking it and getting your palm up and carrying that ball with that palm. 3:52 left to go here in the third. 41-18, Pioneer with the lead. Seinfeld chop in the backcourt with it. He works his way over midcourt. Wells watching him. Blank now down the far baseline. Connor Dunlop on the near wing. Wood for 3. Wood off the far rim as Griffin with the rebound for Monroe. Wells bringing it ahead for Monroe. 3:34 left to go. Wells. Bounce pass over midcourt. Snap ball over to KJ Dunlap. Back to Wells on the near wing. Bounce pass went off of a foot. Now ahead to Scott for Pioneer. Scott puts it up off glass, wouldn't go. Rebound by White for Monroe the other direction. White gets it right at midcourt. White down the far side of the court. White gets it over to Griffin on the far wing. Griffin for 3 off the far side of the rim. Pulled down by Connor Dunlop. Quickly ahead to Scott. Now Blank gets it back to Scott, up and in. Finger roll again, and Scott now has 14 points. He leads all scorers. 43-18, Pioneer with the lead. White over midcourt for Monroe. White, top of the key, that tipped away. Blank with it. There's going to be a foul as White picks up his second foul of the game. 3 on Pioneer, 2 on Monroe. Blanked inbound just on the far side of the scorer's table. On that far sideline, Griffin goes out. And in looks like it's Moss. Seinfeld chop over midcourt for Pioneer. Over on the far wing, Blank. Over to Connor Dunlop, puts up a 3 off the rim. Pulled down by Blank. Down the baseline, Blank. Picks up his dribble, gets us to Seinfeld chop in the paint. Now over on the near wing, Wood for 3. Wood hits it! Wood with his first points of the game. That's a 3-pointer. Wells for Monroe inbounds it. Baseline right, collision underneath the basket. 2:19 left to go here in the third, 46-18. Pioneer with the lead. Cortez Davis and Rivera in for Pioneer. As Wood inbounding, baseline right. Gets it into Seinfeld chop into the nearest corner. Seinfeld chop on the near wing. Comes back to the block A's just inside of midcourt. Seinfeld chop over to Blank. Now that over to Cortez Davis. Cortez Davis has that stripped away. Here comes White the other direction. White down the far side of the paint. as he is fouled by Cortez Davis. That is Cortez Davis' second foul. Fourth on Pioneer. One more in this quarter, and that will put, for Pioneer, and that will put Monroe to the line, shooting the rest of the way. So White was in the process of shooting. He will shoot 2. White eyes the rim, bends his knees, dribbles, puts up and in. White gets his first point of the game from the line. One more. Trying to get to an even 20 for Monroe. Baker comes in for Monroe. White with one more shot. From the line, White puts it up off the front of the rim and in. White has 2 points, and it's 46-20. Pioneer with a 26-point lead. Quickly the other direction. Seinfeld chop for Pioneer in the front court. Comes to the blockades. Just inside of midcourt. Screen on either direction. Seinfeld chop to the free throw line into the paint. That block by White. Coming away with it was Blank. Blank over to Wood, top of the key. Wood down the near side of the paint. Puts up a floater. That's short. Blank gets the rebound. Blank. Lots of offensive rebounds. Seinfeld chop trying to tip it over. That knocked down by Moss. Quickly the other direction. And I think that's going to be a push on Wood. Yep, that's going to be a push on Wood. So Wood picks up his first foul. So that is going to be free throws for Monroe. That is Pioneer's 5th foul in the quarter. So that's going to put Moss to the line. Moss dribbles the ball. Bends the knees, eyes the rim, puts it up. Off the front of the rim, would not go. One more coming for Moss. Trying to get it down to a, what would that be, a 25-point lead? This Monroe team still battling hard. 1:29 left to go before the fourth quarter. Second one from Moss is up. And off the front, the back of the rim, the far side, Pioneer with the rebound. Here comes Blank over midcourt for Pioneer. Blank comes top of the key. Blank into the paint, dishes it off underneath, and Rivera puts it in. Rivera with 4 points, and it's 48-20. Pioneer with the lead. Now Monroe has it. Wells in the backcourt. Wells gets over midcourt. So Wood picks up the foul, and that is again going to be shots for Monroe. This Pioneer is over 5 fouls. So Wells bends the knees, puts it up. That rims out. One more coming. Wells bends the knees, puts it up, puts it in. So Wells has his first point of the game, and Pioneer bringing it from the backcourt over. Seinfeld chop has it knocked away from Wells. Wells quickly the other way to White. White puts it up, finger roll up and in. So White has 4 points, and it's 48-23 with 51 seconds left to go in the third. Pioneer with the lead. Blank coming down the near side of the court for Pioneer. Now into the front court. Blank, bounce pass, back over to Seinfeld chop. Seinfeld chop, right at the arc for Pioneer. Now Blank on the far wing. Blank, work his way around the arc, comes top of the key. Underneath the Wood in the paint. That loose. Seinfeld chop gets it, trying to avoid, and that's going to be a jump ball. I believe that was Wells who got his hands on the ball. Possession arrow is going to be Monroe. So 28.4 seconds left to go. Monroe hands it down to a 25-point lead for Pioneer, 48-23. Monroe trying to dig into that lead as Wells brings it over midcourt. Wells, double team, bounce pass over on the far wing to Moss. Moss. I believe he stepped out of bounds. That's going to be Pioneer's ball with 20.1 seconds left to go. Rivera gets it in. Now Seinfeld chop for Pioneer over midcourt. Seinfeld chop. Pioneer with a 48-23 lead. Seinfeld chop right in front of his own bench. Now trying to shake free, dishes it into the paint, Blank underneath. That falls off to the near side as here comes Blank from the just off the far side of the paint, puts it in. Blank has 11 points, and it's 50-23. As we head into the fourth quarter, let's play a little push on and a few messages from the MHSAA, or actually I'll tell you who's scored how much really quickly. Pollock has 4 points. Dunlop has 4 points. Connor Dunlop for Pioneer. Seinfeld Chop has 2. 11 points for Blank. 4 for Rivera. 14 points for Scott. 6 for Kucinich. 2 for Hayes and 3 for Wood. On the other side, it's 2 for Aaron, 1 for Wells, 7 for Davis, 2 for KJ Dunlap. 4 for White and 7 for Griffin. Pollock to inbound right in front of us, 8 minutes up on the clock as we head into the fourth quarter. The varsity contest will be right after this. We appreciate you watching. Thank you for supporting these fantastic athletes. 50-23, Pioneer with the 27-point lead. There's the whistle as Pioneer has out there Connor Dunlop, Kucinich, Pollock, Scott. Who am I missing? Someone's where I can't see him. I don't know. Smith over on the far corner. That ball inbounded. Here comes Scott. Game's leading scorer over midcourt for Pioneer. Bounce pass over to Kucinich on the near wing. Kucinich gets it over on the far wing for Scott. Scott back to Kucinich on the near wing. Kucinich gets it into the paint for Smith. That knocked away. And it's going to be Monroe's ball. 7:42 left to go here in the fourth. White inbound, baseline right. White gets it into Moss. Moss facing pressure in the backcourt. Back to White. White has Pollock watching him. White coming up the middle of the court as White stops just before midcourt, and that is going to be Pioneer's ball. So that ball inbounded. Connor Dunlop gets it over midcourt. Connor Dunlop over on the far sideline for Pioneer, calling out signals. All the way underneath to Smith. Smith puts it up. That wouldn't go, a little too strong, but there was contact underneath, and that's going to be a foul. So that is going to be Moss. So Moss picks up his first foul of the quarter. And was in the act of shooting, so Smith will shoot 2. Smith puts up the first one, nothing but net on that one. Smith has his first point of the game. Next one from Smith coming, bends the knees, puts it up, puts it in. Smith hits them both. He has 2 points, and it's 52-23. Pioneer with the 29-point lead. Monroe in the backcourt, that tipped away, but grabbed back by Moss. Gets it ahead to White. White picked up his dribble. Pollock on top of him, over to Moss, just off the top of the key. Moss dribbles to his right onto the far wing. Now that fired up three-pointer. That was by Sorter McDonald. Scott picks up the foul. That is his third foul. As Monroe will inbound Sorter McDonald. Gets it into White. White working against Scott. White just inside of midcourt. White into the near corner as that's Baker with it. Now back over to Moss. Moss dishes it off into the far corner for Sorter McDaniel. Now in that far corner is Dunlop, KJ Dunlap. Double team trying to find a way to get out of there. That's going to be Pioneer's ball. So Pollock to inbound on the far sideline right in front of the Monroe bench with 6:40 left to go here in the fourth. Connor Dunlop brings it in for Pioneer, 42-23. Pioneer with the lead. Now pressure over there from Sorter McDonald. Over on the near wing is Connor Dunlop. Gets it to Scott in the paint. Scott off bounce, puts it up and in. Scott continues to have a whale of the game. He has 16 points. A step back, off balance jump shot. White picks up his third foul. 3 on Scott for Pioneer, 3 on Pollock for Pioneer, and 3 on White for Monroe. Scott goes to the line. At this point, it's a 31-point lead. Scott can advance that. As that rebound by Kasenich, loose, out of bounds. That will be Monroe's ball. 54-23, Pioneer with the lead. Monroe to inbound, baseline right with 6:22 left to go. White to inbound, baseline right. White gets it into Aaron for Monroe. There's a whistle. That is going to be on Scott. Scott has 4 fouls. 1 more, and he'll have to sit down, at least according to my calculations here. My stats are not the official stats. Aaron has it. Coming down the far sideline for Monroe, double team. That ball gets over to Sorter McDonald. Sorter McDonald has that tipped away. Racing down the paint. Scott underneath the basket, trying to put it up. Foul. So that's going to be Sorter McDonald picking up his first foul.
Number 15, Decker Ansel. Scott at the line.
Decker Ansel, that is not who I have on my roster. Scott puts it up, wouldn't go, off the rim, falls off to the far side. One more shot for Scott as he puts it up. That rims off to the near side. Kasenich trying to get to it, but that out of bounds. That will be Monroe's ball with 6:05 left to go here in the fourth. 54-23, Pioneer with the lead. White to inbound, baseline right for Monroe. White gets it into Aaron. Aaron, double team, gets it back to White on that far baseline. White trying to come down the far sideline. Scott has it now. That ahead to Sorter McDonald. Sorter McDonald gets it underneath. That put up and in off glass by KJ Dunlap. KJ Dunlap has 4 points, and it is 54-25.
Basket was good by KJ Dunlap. Foul is on number 5. That's Jaden Aaron.
So Aaron picks up his second foul. 2 on Pioneer this quarter, 4 on Monroe. 1 more, and Pioneer will be shooting baskets. Pollock gets it over to Smith for Pioneer on the far wing. Now top of the key for Kasenich. Kasenich comes onto the near wing, dishes it off to Scott. Now top of the key for Pollock. Smith on the far wing. Top of the key, Scott for 3. That off the back of the rim in the glass. Battle for it underneath. A foul called. That is going to be on Kasenich. He picks up his second foul. And it's 5:26 left to go. Pioneer calls a timeout. So 54-25, Pioneer with the lead. 5:26 left to go here in the fourth, as we will have the varsity contest coming up next. The Booster Bash has been set. Always a good time. Come help support Pioneer Athletics and the Booster Club April 18th at Germain Honda. There's food, lots of wonderful things, music, and please come. It is a adults only celebration, but please come and help support the Booster Club. 5:26 left to go here. Let's play a little push on. As White to inbound, baseline right. Everybody in the backcourt, full court pressure by Pioneer. That ball inbounded Aaron. He's double teamed, tipped away by Scott. Scott down the baseline, puts up a floater that's knocked away. Blocked, but a foul. And it looks like that's going to be on White, I believe.
Fouls on number 32, Nick Sorter McDonald.
32. If that's White, that would be fourth foul. Put up off the back of the rim, wouldn't go for Scott. 54-25, Pioneer with the lead, trying to get to an even 30. Stone back in for Monroe. One more basket, or one more shot coming for Scott. He puts it up and in. Nothing but net on that one. 17 points for Scott as he leads all scores. 55-25, Pioneer with the lead. White the inbound, baseline right. White gets that induced, sort of McDonald. That it's stolen away. Smith puts it up off the underside of the basket. Wouldn't go, but a foul. So that is going to be Sorter McDonald. Unless they have a completely different roster than I do across the way. If so, I apologize for getting these Monroe numbers wrong. It's the one I got. Smith puts up the first free throw, up and good. That is going to be 3 for Smith. Trying to make it 4, all free throws. So 4 substitutions for Pioneer. Coming in is Blank, Seinfeld Chop, Wood, as well as Rivera. Smith has one more coming at the line. 31-point lead. Smith puts it up off the back of the rim. The glass wouldn't go. Monroe with the rebound. White has it in the backcourt, bringing it ahead. White gets over midcourt for Monroe. White gets a screen from Griffin onto the far wing. White steps back, puts it up off the rim. Loose ball. White comes away with it. White dishes it off top of the key. That put up by Sorter McDonald. Rebound by Blank for Pioneer. Quickly ahead to Seinfeld Chop. Seinfeld Chop over to Wood. Wood puts it up off glass and in. Wood has 5 points, and it's 58-25. Monroe has it in the backcourt, bringing it ahead is Sorter McDonald. Sorter McDonald comes to the free throw line, putting it up. Add off the front of the rim, wouldn't go. Wood with the rebound. Smith in the backcourt for Pioneer. 4:30 left to go here in the fourth. Smith, top of the key, down the far side of the paint, puts it up off glass, wouldn't go. Rebound pulled down as that was Stone with the rebound for Monroe. White brings it down the far side of the court for Monroe. Into Griffin on the far side of the paint. Griffin into the far corner. Now Sorter McDonald to the far elbow. Gets that over to Stone. Stone comes over onto the near wing. Over to KJ Dunlap, and now White has it just off the top of the key. White dribbles to his right, puts it up. Off the front of the rim, wouldn't go. White gets the rebound. White over onto the near wing. Stone for 3. That rims out to the far side. Pulled down. Here comes Seinfeld Chop for Pioneer. 3:45 left to go here. Blank into the paint for Pioneer. Dishes it back off to Seinfeld Chop. 58-25. Pioneer with the 33-point lead. Smith on the near wing for Pioneer. Now Smith comes just off the top of the key. Dishes it off. Wood puts it off as that falls off the rim to the far side. Griffin has it for Monroe. White brings it ahead for Monroe. 3:20 left to go here in the fourth. On the far wing, Sorter McDonald. There's a foul. That one is going to be on Rivera. Rivera has his second foul. 5 on Monroe, 4 on Pioneer this quarter, so one more for Pioneer, and Monroe will be shooting. Pioneer is already in the bonus. So Cortez, Davis, and Hayes in for Pioneer. Ball inbounded to Griffin in the far corner. Griffin down the baseline. Griffin puts it up. That ball blocked. Blank with the rebound. Now Rivera has it in the backcourt for Pioneer, bringing ahead Cortez Davis. Cortez Davis, top of the key. Cortez Davis down the paint, puts it up off glass. Grabbed down by Griffin for Monroe. Stolen away by Cortez Davis. Seinfeld Chop into the paint. That blocked again by White. Pulled down by Hayes for Pioneer. Down the baseline, Blank. Back over to Seinfeld Chop, over onto the near wing. Rivera has that blocked by Griffin. So Griffin picks up the foul on the block. That is his second foul. 2:45 left to go here in the fourth. Rivera to the line. First one by Rivera is up off the back of the rim, off the near rim, and wouldn't go. Stays 58-25. One more for Rivera. Rivera puts it up, off glass and in. Rivera has 5 points. And it's 49-25. Pioneer with the lead. 2:45 left to go. Ball inbounded to Stone. Now stolen away by Seinfeld. Chop. Bounce pass. Up. Rivera. Up and in off glass. Rivera with 7 points. And it is 61-25. Pioneer with the lead. White inbounds for Monroe. That ball. That is going to be Pioneer's ball as Cortez Davis inbound on the near sideline. 2:29 left to go. Cortez Davis gets that ball into Seinfeld Chop. Seinfeld Chop gets a screen from Rivera. Seinfeld Chop right in front of his own bench. Tipped away from Griffin. As that was a good job by Cortez to get it. Cortez Davis to get it over to Hayes. Hayes on the near wing. Griffin with heavy defense. Hayes to the near elbow, puts it up. Off glass, off the rim, wouldn't go. Back to Hayes. The rebound was by Rivera, pulled away by Monroe. Now White has it in the backcourt for Monroe. Under 2 minutes left to go here in the fourth. White brings it ahead, gets it over midcourt. White. Now comes top of the key into the paint, dishes it off on the near wing. Stone for 3. Off glass, wouldn't go. That outletted to Hayes. Hayes for Pioneer. Puts it up off glass and in. Hayes has 4 points, and it's 63-25. Pioneer with the lead. White inbound, baseline right, gets that into KJ Dunlap. Back to White. White bringing it ahead with 1:25 left to go. White for Monroe to the far elbow, back over to Griffin. Griffin for a 10-footer. Wouldn't go. Pulled down by Cortez Davis. Cortez Davis over midcourt for Pioneer. Over to Seinfeld Chop into the paint. Finger roll up off glass and in. Seinfeld Chop has 4 points. And it is 1:07 left to go. Ball inbounded by Monroe to Stone as it's 65-25, 40-point lead for Pioneer. Sorter McDonald trying to get it over to Griffin. That ball tipped away. Griffin gets it back underneath. Sorter McDonald off the near side of the rim. Griffin has it into the paint as that is going to be a foul, I believe. Let's see who it's on. Rivera picks up his 3rd foul. So Griffin at the line, both teams are now over the 5-foul limit. It's a running clock situation because it's 40 points. Griffin puts it up, that falls off the rim, off to the near side. Clock continues to run. Griffin with one more shot coming, 20 seconds up on the clock. Griffin puts it up, off the back of the rim, wouldn't go, pulled down. Here comes Cortez Davis, gets ahead to Hayes, 10 seconds left. Hayes has it on the near sideline. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That will do it. Pioneer wins 65-25. 40-point win for the Pioneer JV team. As we will have the varsity squads next, as we'll have that about 15 minutes between both games. Thank you very much for my camera person, Christina Wiseman. My name is Mark Weiser, and thank you, and good night.